Hi everyone, welcome back. We're going to be painting another flower, and today we're going to be painting a Georgia O'Keeffe flower, she's been one of my favorite artists since I was in college. And up until now, I've been painting on canvas. So today I thought we would paint on some mixed media paper, but this is really super heavy weight. And let's see, it's 350 pounds. So it's very similar to painting on a hardboard. You can also elect to paint this on a canvas if you'd like to, but I just wanted to show you that there's a different approach sometimes with using different surfaces. And so I have a line drawing for you, and it's for a size 9 by 12 surface. So you can enlarge it if you want, but remember, when you enlarge or reduce things, you can change the level of difficulty. What I did is I transferred it onto tracing paper, and I put pencil underneath my lines, and I transferred it onto the paper. And what I want to do is I want to talk a little bit about the paper. Even though this is super heavyweight, you can see how thick it is. I always come in and I seal it first. I use all-purpose sealer, but I do both sides, because if you don't do both sides, chances are it's going to warp on you. And if you're going to be putting this in a canvas, you want it to lay as flat as possible. So that's exactly what I did. I came in and I set in some colors too, but I came in first on one side with all-purpose sealer. You can use any brand you like. I also like to use Deco Art. So I did one, and immediately I turned it over and I did the other side. And so I had to make sure that my whole area was nice and clean and that the one side didn't pick up debris. Then I've come in and I've based in some of the colors. And I'm going to be having this on my phone for reference. And I absolutely love this painting. So what I did is I came in and I base coated the whole thing light gray. Then I put down the line drawing, and I've kind of blocked in some colors to make it a little bit easier. Let me set my my phone up here so I can see what I'm going to be painting. And so you can see there's a little bit of yellow coming in a V shape, and then I filled in the throat of the flower over here. All I did was take the base coat color and just add just a touch of yellow to it. So I just took a little bit of yellow, and don't want hair in my paint. I can see I have a little bit of blue in there too. So what we're doing is barely tinting the light gray that we have in the background. So it almost just looks like a yellowy gray, but you can see on here it looks lovely. So we're going to come in and I'm going to use this now. And I'm also going to take my first shade color, which is Gray Sky. So Georgia O'Keeffe used oil paints. So she was able to make large value jumps. And remember, value is how light or dark something is. So I'm now doing this with acrylics, and you can use any kind of acrylic you would like. I have some videos coming up where I'm going to be using some tube acrylics, because a lot of you said you'd like to see how I approach things with tube acrylics. Well, you can approach things the same way with the bottled acrylics or with the tube acrylics, the way I'm going to be painting today. So I need a flat brush, and I'm going to dampen it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to completely load my brush in this yellow color. And then I'm going to come in and side load it So I'm just going to blend these two colors together. So I have a nice gradation between the two. And we're going to come in and we're making a nice V shape over here. So you have to remember where your gray is, and that gray is going to be on the top. Picking up a little bit more gray. And I'm going to just walk this down a little bit with these two colors in here. Now, I may have to do this a second time. But what I'm going to do is take my mop brush and just soften this just a little bit. I'm going to make sure it's nice and blended away. So you can see there's no obvious start or stop right here. And I hope you can see that because I'm seeing a shine. There you go. So now I'm going to come above it with the same brush, and I'm loading it in the same manner. And I'm going to fill in, I'm tipping my brush with that gray in it and filling in that little V. So I'm not loading my brush with water. I had originally dampened it. And so if I need to reload again, if it feels like it's dragging as I'm painting, then I'll simply reload it with the paint. Okay, so now I'm going to rinse my brush. And I want to rinse it really good because there's a lot of that yellow in there. Now we're going to do the same thing with the base coat color. We're going to load that in the whole thing. Then I'm going to come over with the gray. So this is called double loading. And we're going to come up over here. And we're going to leave just a little bit of a gap here. So we're going to get a nice gradation of color because I have the color that's already down there and I'm adding the gray to it. And I'm going to walk that down just a little bit. We'll just pull it over. Oops, I wanted the white or the light gray background. So what I want to do is just soften this so it blends away. Okay, so now I'm going to come behind the flower and I'm going to add some darkness with the same colors. I'm loading my brush the same exact way. And we're going to fill this in with a lot of gray back over here. And this is going to help isolate the colors. So we know where the petals begin and end, and then also create some interest in the background. Georgia didn't bring it this far, but I decided that that's what I want. Now I can feel my paint really dragging. So I am going to rinse it out and then reload it. So I'm putting it in my background color and I'm side loading it. And then I'm going to just pick up where I was. And I have to make sure I've got the right color in there. And we're going to just go right behind here and just come in and separate it just a little bit. Now I do have an instructional packet for you with the line drawing and all the color mixes I created. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to come over to this side. And I've got the gray right against this line, and we're going to pull it down. And we'll pull it right to that V area and just keep pulling it down. So I need to let that set up. So we're going to come back over here and go behind this petal. Okay, so let's let that dry a little bit and we'll move on to this petal over here. We'll be loading it into the same colors. So I tip my side with the light gray in one end and the darker gray on the other end, and that's how I'm loading it. We're going to come over here, follow this line down, pull it away, and then I'm going to fill this in. And I'm tipping my brush a little bit towards that gray side. I'll even reload it with a little bit more gray. This may need multiple applications, or you can soften it with your mop brush. Now I'm going to go in, you can see I've got this yellow gray color here. The side that had originally had the white in it, I'm going to load it into the yellow color that I have, because I have some yellow over here. And right in this area where there's a little curve here, we're going to come along here and just pull this out. We'll flip the brush over and meet it. And then we're going to pull it all the way down. So can you see how that's dragging there? Let me show you. See how that's dragging there? People say, how do you know you need to rinse out your brush? Well, that's when your paint starts dragging on you, that's when you need to reload. So then I go right back into my two puddles. I can keep these here. And I'm going to try to go right over here and then flip it over and meet it. So we soften it and then we bring it all the way down. So I'm constantly flipping my brush back and forth. So now what I'm going to do is I simply have water in my brush. I'm going to side load my brush the same way I have been, but there's no paint in the other side. So instead of having paint over here, we have water. And I want to get a gradation in it. And what we're going to do is come behind this one petal. And soften it. And we're going to go back into the area that we originally put in and just walk it down a little bit. I'm going to just try to make it look a little bit smoother and a little bit softer by adding a second application. Same color. Okay, we'll let that set up. Now I'm going to put my brush back into the white and the gray. So it's now double loaded again. And we're going to come over here and darken it. I try really hard to show you how to do a variety of techniques with each video that I do. I'm looking for my gray. Here it is. I'm going to turn this. Always turn your painting so that you're pulling towards you. And this is a roll in the petal, a turn. So I'm just going to come in and shade right there so you can see it's rolling over. Now, while Georgia O'Keeffe's paintings are beautiful and very realistic looking, they're not photorealistic. And so I love the way she simplifies her lights and darks, all her values. And her flowers almost look a little puffy at times. I like that. Okay, so let's do some more work over here. I'm going to go into the gray, and this time I'm side loading it. And I'm going to come along this line and pull it down. Make sure I soften it so you cannot see where it starts and stops right here. I'm loading it. And I'm going to come in and I'm going to put a little bit of this gray color on this curly cue. And then we're going to go all the way behind here. Then this has another curved area. So we're going to double load it with the white color. And we're going to come in and just do like a little U shape here. Then I'm flipping my brush over and meeting it. You keep your values, your application of color, a lot softer by double loading it. And right over here, I'm going to just load it with the gray paint. We're going to go underneath here and just walk this out. And remember, everything's flowing through to the throat of this. Now I'm going to load with just water again, and I'm going to go over my original application. What you'll see is when you apply the same color multiple times with acrylics, they get a little bit more smooth and even looking, because what's happening is we're creating layers and a lot of the background shows through. And so by applying another coat, it makes it look a little bit more smooth and more even. Oops. I always use the clean side of my brush to clean things up. You can have a dampened brush to the side. Okay, let's see where we're going next. Let's come down this area here, and I will just simply side load it with water. And the first one we're going to do is we're going to just come right behind here and pull it down. Then we're going to soften it. And we're going to come right down here and meet it and bring it down. Do that again. Now behind over here, we have lots of dark areas. I think we're going to go completely behind here and just bring it down. And now we're going to let that dry. And so what we'll do is we'll come over here and I want to show you we have a little roll right here. And so what we're going to do is we're going to start here. And my brush is loaded with just water and the gray on it. The trick always is to know how to skip around and how to load your brush, how much pressure to put on your brush. So now I'm going to come up and we're going to make a nice wide shade here. I'll clean my brush really good. And I'm going to come in and clean up this edge. So this will need to be repeated. And I'm loading my brush with water in it. And we're going to go down here. Just bring out that tip a little bit. Then we're going to really pull in some darks here. And this is going to really make our background come into our flower. But we can go back and add a little bit of lightness back there. And I am using some palette paper. This can be purchased at any craft store or online. A lot of people like to use paper plates, but I like the palette paper. I find I can work with it a little bit better. This whole area here is dark, so I'm going to just fill my whole brush up. And I'm not going to worry about doing any blending. Just going to blacken this area. We'll come back to it. And I have not painted this before, so I'm hoping that all that I'm teaching you will have wonderful results. Okay, so now we need to come in the middle of here. I'll rinse out my brush again. And I'm going to load my brush with the white and with gray. So I'll come back to this area here. White is always in the middle. And so we need to have like a little arch here. And so then the dark color is going to be right here. I'm going to flip my brush over and come and meet it. And that's what's going to soften it. And then we'll just come and try to blend it in with what I originally put down. I'm assuming I'm going to have to go over that a second time. Now this is nice and light. So I have more darks. But I think I'm going to just put a little bit of that darkness in there. And I'm going to bring the white in my brush over to meet the gray a little bit. What that will do is lighten this color. And we're going to just barely have a shade in here. And if you need to soften it with your mop brush, we'll do that. So this is just like a little oval shade on here. Trying to keep it nice and light. And then what I'll do is I'll get my mop brush and just soften it on the outside edges. What I do in between is I find a dampened area on my paper towel and I clean my mop brush that way so the paint doesn't dry. And then I set it to the side. Okay. So now